Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
Hats?
Brendo, how are you, man?
I'm good. We sound a little bit, we sound distant.
We are distant. We are distant. And it's, okay, so first of all, apologies, I guess we have to go through there, don't we?
Yeah.
We've not done one in a couple of weeks. How long has it been?
I think it's been a couple of weeks, and usually last time that happened, you were all over attacking me for being responsible for not doing it. So would you care to explain this one?
Your fault. It was entirely your fault before.
Yeah.
But this time it is entirely my fault. So shall we address the elephant in the room?
We should. And that's a great choice of words too, by the way.
Go on, you can describe. You can describe what I look like.
Well, you look either like you have been attacked with a wrench, or you've gone under some kind of facial surgery to further hide your identity because you're really worried.
Well, there's only one elephant man, so I had to do something.
Yeah.
I had an operation, so apologies for anybody who was. There actually have been a couple of people giving us a bit of stick for not putting out a pod. So apologies if you've been waiting to either harvest your vegetables or code some app or I don't know, feed your cows, and you've been waiting. We are here now, and we will try to
make up for
lost time. Yeah.
Do you want to explain the surgery? We've referred to your face. Yeah, I think we should.
I mean, do you want me to? Okay.
I do.
So for 20 years, it's not cosmetic.
Yes, it is.
It's well, maybe it is cosmetic. I don't know, but for 20 years, I have not been able to breathe through. We have a guest, so is this okay? We can do this.
It's fine. We'll get to it.
Okay. For 20 years, I've not been able to breathe through my nose. And eventually, my wife had enough, and so I had to go get it fixed. I'll not tell you. I don't.
What was it though?
Do you want to know? I don't care.
Was it no? Was it snoring? Like what was the thing that your wife's kind of went, nah, go and get it done? Just you whinging or?
Oh man, no. God, people are turning off already. I apologize. So I went to the dentist. The dentist said, mate, you need to do something. Oh, I said to the dentist, I can't breathe through my nose. And I think he interpreted that as this guy's got a bit of a cold or something like that. And then he was working in my mouth for about 30 seconds, and eventually I tried to breathe. And he went, "Oh, you literally can't breathe through your nose." I was like, "Yeah, that's what I said. That's exactly the words I said to you." So he said, "Oh, there's a thing for people like you," and basically the thing for people like you is a plastic bag that they shove down your throat with this tiny straw that comes out the side, so you give a little bit of air. Then they work on your teeth. But then he said at the end, you must do something about your nose because you're going to have problems with your mouth and your teeth and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this is me getting something done with the nose. So it's been chopped up, it's been folded onto my forehead, it's been drilled to pieces, and and now the drugs have been good, but the pain wasn't much fun. But hopefully I'm on the mend. Anyway, that's the long story, short as possible.
Yeah. All right. Well, you look much better than the first photo you sent me. So that's you are on the mend. So that's good.
I'm on the mend. It's just ridiculous. So you're on the wine, I'm on the mend, and you're on the wine. So can we introduce our guest after our dreadful story?
All right, let's go.
Meyrick, how are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm good.
Thanks very much for dealing with me today as well. I'm down in Sydney to get this nose done again, and I've been stuck on the bridge at Hexham at Newcastle. And so thank you very much for waiting.
I was telling Meyrick before you jumped on, because you came in a bit late, that you'd be not furious, but just like really, you would have been driving down stressing like a mofo. I'm sure of it.
Totally. And actually, Sydney was good. Sydney was actually good. Newcastle was not good, but Sydney's actually not so bad. But man, thanks very much. So where I let me start with this. So for anybody might know, Meyrick also has a podcast, Meyrick's Dabbling Path, which he kindly invited us onto about, what was it now, Meyrick, about a month ago?
Yeah, I think approximately a month ago. Yeah.
What's that? 4,000 or 5,000 blocks, something. And we decided, well, so Brendo and I have chats with ourselves, and then we try and have some guests to chat to. But then sometimes we just ping out a message and say, plebs, anybody that wants to come on and have a chat. And you reached out at one point, just said you were keen to come and have a chat. And at that point, I didn't know of your podcast and went having a look. And because we've actually had a chat and we know each other and we're now friendly, I'm going to start with this one. So when I first went to your podcast, the alarm bells went bing, 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 right?
Right.
Because there's a bunch of stuff and there's a bit of sort of shitcoinery, there's a bit of an NFT chat, a big back of it, right? You've done a few pods now. So what I want to know, firstly, is what has changed, because your podcast has changed dramatically. I've listened to quite a few of them now. The recent ones, they're great. What's the change, mate? What's happened?
So should I wind it back all the way, like how I got into crypto or Bitcoin, and then
all of it, mate. All of it.
Yeah, because that would probably make sense that way. So I think I first heard about Bitcoin probably back in 2010, 2011, like most people did. And then I did end up downloading some weird miner on a Mac and like a weird wallet, and like everything looked like really DOSy back then. And I probably had it running for a week. And at the same time, like I was playing Counter-Strike with my friends. So my Counter-Strike started getting laggy and I deleted all of that out, right? Like I deleted the miner, I shut all of that. Like I didn't know. Yeah, okay. So that's that over there. And then fast forward, I worked in the banking sector back in India. Then I came to Melbourne and I was studying an MBA. Part of my course was a supply chain management subject. That's where I learned about blockchain. Like we had like a big thing about blockchain going on there. And then that got me interested into crypto again. And then I started exploring Bitcoin and Ethereum, but not so much, right? And then what happened next was I finished uni. I was now like earning on a full-time wage, so I could save up a bit more. And like then I thought, like, let's see what's happening in this whole crypto thing, and just to save, like as an investment purpose, right? Like I didn't want to do shares. At like, okay, this crypto thing sounds cool, so started buying just Bitcoin and Ethereum back then. And then I was working in another job. I met another guy who was like I think he still is like one of the biggest, like he's like a leverage trader. He trades Forex. He does lots of shitcoining. And like he was talking to me about all of this. So that's when I like, started looking into it more. And then I got really fascinated by how all of this works. And I thought, like, since I did like a deep study on blockchain, let's see if I can get some work related to all of this. So then I started approaching companies in Melbourne that had anything to do with blockchain technology or crypto. And then one of these companies got back to me and hired me. And they are a crypto research firm based out in Melbourne. So I was working for them for a bit. And then some of the guys I was working with were like really deep into NFTs, DeFi. You'll probably come across Glassnode, who puts up Bitcoin research and like Bitcoin charts and stuff. So I was working closely with him as well. But yeah, that's how I was introduced to like DeFi, NFTs, and all of that. And yeah,
sorry, Mike, can you put a time scale on that for me? Where are we about then? What year wise?
Oh, year wise? Yeah, so that's about 2020. 2020. Yeah. And then so while I was so got interested in all of this, and then I think that's when I like came back onto Twitter. I probably deleted my old Twitter, restarted like a new one, because like and then I came back onto Twitter, and then I saw there was like lots of people from India and Asia into all of this NFT. So I was like, I started And somewhere around then, I think I started my podcast as well. And yes, then I started speaking to few of them and and started having few of them on my podcast and trying to learn a bit more. But then what really clicked was like when these Bored Apes started selling for this ridiculous amount, right? Like, and that's when I thought like why are people spending so much money on this monkey image? So that's where I really questioned like this whole thing about money. And then I went down like this money rabbit hole. And then coming out of this money rabbit hole is where I found like where Bitcoin really crystallized. So yeah, so then from then on, like I started focusing more on Bitcoin. And I think that's like probably reflects now more on the podcast, more and like more in my life and everything else as well.
Yeah.
So was that I was going to say, was that a hard realization for you as well to kind of look back at, I guess, your journey thus far and go, I've wasted all my time? You know what I mean? Or is it? Are you kind of thankful for the journey because it's still you've ended up with a Bitcoin anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I do think about it like I wasted all of that time, like because like when I first come across something and if it fascinates me, I'll probably like going deep into it, right? Like I like researching it more. So yeah, I do look at it like I wasted all of that time. But then I always have this thing like where I've wasted like since being like a child, like I probably wasted time on like other stuff, right? But then I see it like all part of this long journey that we're on, and like there's no point regretting anything. It's probably for the best. I could probably be down that shitcoining path longer and like never found Bitcoin. So like I regret it sometimes, but not so much. Yeah.
It's ultimately if you find your way through on a tougher route, I think it probably makes your conviction stronger. Like if you've never been, I've said this to Brendan a lot. Well, that's the dogs.
Dogs.
Damn it. Okay. Yeah, it's I think everybody needs a bit of a punch in the mouth. And like make a personal mistake, to really realize what's the truth, if you like, and get there for yourself. I think if you're just solely relying on somebody else's opinion, your conviction is going to be far less.
Yes.
Do you think that's true for yourself?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like I don't seem to like trust anyone on anything. Like in most cases, like depending, like unless they really unless they really convince me. But like I'll still tend to not trust them and like do my own research with like per se. Like one thing that like something that someone from my family would always point out is like at a really young age, I like coming from like a strong Christian Catholic community like in India, which is like unheard of like in most cases. But like this community that's like really strong Christian Catholic community where like family and friends and everyone is like part of the going to a Catholic church. But I think it was like around 7th grade itself, like I figured out like religion is a scam, and then completely dropped out of it since then.
So you've always been a Bitcoiner,
I guess.
Yeah.
Another Bitcoiner just waiting for Bitcoin, right? I want to come back to that. I want to come back to that religion thing as well. But let's the research company. What was their purpose? Like, what were they trying to achieve? Were they just scamming people, or were they genuinely trying to achieve something in their sort of crypto research? Are you happy to talk about that? You don't have to mention who they were or anything, but just like in terms of the work.
I guess I could mention some of it. So what they're doing is probably giving their. So how does it work? Is people subscribe to their service? So people pay for their research. So people pay for their research, and based on their research, they can make their own investment decisions. So I guess in a way, like it's still up to the individual of whether they're getting value from whatever research these guys are putting out there. But what it basically does, what basically they're doing is they are probably giving the people like a competitive edge in the market. Like they probably, but I guess it's like identifying some of the best shitcoins among all the shitcoins, or which shitcoin is going to currently pump, right? Like before. But then again, like it goes back to like, are these guys like secretly pumping their own bags? So like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were,
So
were
were-
they
were
were
they
they
di-
successful? Sorry, mate. I think this delay is
No,
going
go
to
on,
be a
man.
pain in the ass. Were they
I need to split
generally
screen, but
successful as far as their analysis goes?
Yes. And
Okay.
yeah, and I think in most cases, yeah, they identified a few tokens that did pretty well while I was there. Yeah, and
Yeah.
before I was there as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure about what's happening now. I mean, yeah,
They're still around?
they're still around. They're still around. Yeah, they're
Okay.
still,
And how-
and they're growing, and they're doing. I guess they're doing pretty well. Yeah.
And how much direction was given to you to, as the researcher, to like, were you able to select your own coin to go look at, or were they saying, no, Meyrick, can you go and look at these two or three?
Okay.
Or
So I
how would that
wasn't
work?
no, I wasn't a researcher there, but I was assisting the other researchers. I was assisting with putting the content out on the website and like various other admin related stuff.
Gotcha.
But on most days, like assisting the researchers and putting the content out on the website, making sure everything's looking good on the website, and there's different tiers. So like there's like someone that pays higher, like they have access to more stuff, and like someone who's paying lower, they have something on those lines. Yeah.
See, this is difficult, right? Because part of that, like, people will have the opinion that if you're paying for a service, it's a better, like, if you walk down the street and somebody's giving something away for free and the person beside them is giving them essentially the same thing, but they're charging for it, you kind of have this opinion that the one that you're having to pay for must be better, right? Because for some reason it's somebody's, you believe that somebody's paying for it, right? And then when you actually go into it, sort of maybe your pod or our pod, we're not necessarily doing it for money, but there's nothing wrong with that either. So it's like for the people who choose to. So it's like, does that give you a certain level of credibility if you've got a customer paying for a service and then you've got a coin, doesn't matter what it is, and that's being discussed? Does that bring the level of credibility to that project?
Yeah, I guess it's like a psychology thing, right? Like it would be like, are you like you live in a building premises or whatever, and you have a gym in that, but are you gonna like and at the same time, like, or not at the same time, but like, if you're paying for your gym membership, you'll tend to go more often to the gym if you're going to be paying for that membership, like just to get the value out of it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you're not going to use that, the gym that's available for free. So it's like more of a psychology thing more than anything, I guess.
Because
people,
there's a I'm just going to say there's a huge issue in Bitcoin, I think, where a lot of people, I mean, there's a really strong argument to say nobody should do anything. Everybody should just buy Bitcoin and do nothing, right? Because that's probably, I mean, Bitcoin is likely to, I believe anyway, likely to outperform everything. Like, you could start the most successful, but obviously people are either they're thinking they disagree with me and they're going another way and they're just thinking, no, I can outperform Bitcoin and whatever. But it's a difficult one. It's not easy to monetize anything in this Bitcoin space, if you like. I mean, there are companies that have done it, but very few that have done it really successfully with the support of Bitcoiners. Yeah, and I don't know what I think. There's like, you maybe got like a Swan, or an Unchained Capital, or businesses like that who are clearly and maybe like some of the mining business, but some of the capital costs there must be huge also. So it's like, yeah, I don't know if I've necessarily got a question in that. It's an entirely different way of thinking about how we do things. Yeah. And yeah, I'm very interested to see the people who actually start something up and understanding why they have tried to. Is it just that they just want to work in Bitcoin and therefore they do something and they're prepared to let slide the opportunity of buying Bitcoin? Or is it that they think they can genuinely outperform? Like, for you personally, you've decided to, start a podcast that it's now become not only a Bitcoin podcast, but it's got a big focus there now.
Yeah.
So why? What's your thought process?
Yeah, I mean, lately, like I've scheduled my podcast probably for the next month. Like I have guests coming on, and I think it's like 90% Bitcoiners coming on, right? Like now it's like more focused towards Bitcoin, and just and like how do I spend my free time now? Like it's either mostly like if I'm not like free time, probably outside of work or even while I'm at work, I actually listen to Bitcoin podcast. But yeah, like so yeah, just like reading about Bitcoin, like that's, I don't know, it's like it's a mind virus in like in the most positive sense, right? Like once it gets you, like you just want to like learn more about like all that's happening, all you want to really understand its past of, and one thing, if you're going to play so much of conviction, you're going to be and convincing other people or discussing with other people, is you want to know why it's not going to fail, right? Like, and you'll try to identify all those things that would make it fail. Like, and I think people have been doing that for years now, right? Like trying to identify it, like to shoot it down for like, but and it can't be stopped. So
that's really interesting. That's exactly what happened to me. Or it's very interesting to me. That's what happened to me. And it's just like, I don't, same story. I don't trust automatically. I want to go and prove for myself. I want to prove why, I'm right and somebody else is wrong, or at least why they're right. But if you go down the path of trying to find the holes in Bitcoin, ultimately, I think it leads you to a place that, well, there are no obvious terrible holes. So, and you then become one of these absolute zealots, which, I mean, I definitely am. I don't know where you put yourself on the scale. Brendo's going there. I can, it's been great to watch him go there. What do you reckon, man? Where are you in the zealot scale?
Oh, you mean like on somewhere on the maxi side of things, like on like by zealot? You mean like something?
Yeah, just in terms of is there only one coin? Is there? I mean, are you just not even looking at anything else anymore? How do you approach people who try to convince you that there is, or like all that kind of stuff?
Oh, just the other week I was like at my third Bitcoin meetup in Melbourne, and like, yeah, we had like a good turnout, and then there was like a lady that was trying to say like, what's the like what was the token she brought up? I think it was crypto.com. Crypto.com has their own token, and she's like, that token has purpose because it's whatever, it's similar to Binance's own token, right? Like she says it like it facilitates the exchange or some sort of crap, right? Like, and then it's like debunking, like they don't really need a token, like they can just have an exchange and they don't really need to sell all these other shit coins. So yeah, I mean, like now my focus is totally on Bitcoin, and like there's nothing. Yeah, I don't see that changing anytime. I don't see that changing at all, actually.
How does it go when someone like that does go to a Bitcoin meetup? Are they kind of booed out, or are they like, are people sort of genuinely keen to engage with her and try to kind of convince her why she's not right?
Yeah, I guess like we're trying to convince her like why it's not required, like everyone is, I mean, there was no booing out. Yeah, you're trying to explain to her like why that's not going, like that's not the thing.
That's the difference between MeetSpace and Twitter, I suppose, is that people on Twitter are happy just to tell you got a flat ass, but in person they're going to be much nicer.
Yeah. I just saw a meme the other day. It's like these two dogs, they're fighting. I mean, they're barking at each other, really aggressive, and then the doors open and they're facing each other, and then they're just really calm.
Oh, I've seen that. That's really good, eh?
Yeah.
It's funny. There's something like a crypto.com or a Binance or something like, they're just tokens. I equate them to what I mean by that is I equate them to like what do you call it, like flybys or club card points or air miles. They may offer some utility. Like you may be able to save, you may fly on Qantas, save 1,000 Qantas points, get a little bit off your next flight. Yes. Yes, that is true. It's been working that way for years. And that, you know, people would argue there's utility to that, but you're at the entire whim of, who is it, Qantas, Alan Joyce, if he wants to change the club card program, right? If all of a sudden 1,000 points becomes worth 500 points or 1,500 points, or you can't take a flight to, you know, New Zealand anymore because, you know, we're not allowed to go to New Zealand, so they're just centralized projects, right? And we can argue whether they need a token at all or not. I mean, but if the problem that people are trying to get a discount on their flights, I can concede that a Crow token or a Binance token or a Qantas point or a whatever it might be can have some value. I have no problem with that. If that's what somebody's goal is. But if you believe that we have a problem with our money, it cannot, and that problem is centralization.
Yep.
You cannot solve that problem with more centralization.
Yes.
Certainly, you're not going to get some organization or business that's going to do it ahead of a government. I mean, don't get me started on a CBDC, but you can't. So they're not. I don't understand what they think they are trying to achieve. Like it's like what do you say? Like a solution looking for a problem. Like we've already got the solution. Like it didn't have to be on a blockchain. You know, we've already got Qantas points. What does a blockchain achieve? It's so the money problem. How aware were you of what the money problem was and who caused it and how it affected you?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I think I briefly mentioned, I used to work as a banker for like close to 4 years. During that time frame, I don't know if you guys, whether it came under your radar, but like there was this time where the Indian government decided that the highest currency notes, that was the 1,000 rupee note and the 500 rupee note, is no longer legal tender.
Yep.
Yeah, I was working in the banking sector around that time as well. And so that was like a key moment. But like at that point, while I was working in the banking sector, it didn't click. But like after going down the money rabbit hole, just being introduced to Bitcoin, that's when it all clicked, like what's really happening behind the scenes. And like money itself, like where do I start? Like I started writing about it, right? Like just so that someone else can have value from it, and like just so I could share it or just put my thoughts together. And I've gotten up to like 5,000 words, and I still haven't finished writing what's the problem with the money, right? Like what's needed for a good money, what's needed for sound money, and like it's just the basics, like durability. It should be scalable across space and time, and I mean it should be divisible, and like you can go on like about all of this, and like where Bitcoin falls in all of these things. I think I can't remember where I found this, but like money itself has like 4 stages, and it starts off as a collectible, and then it moves on to be a store of value, and then a medium of exchange, and then a unit of account. So Bitcoin, like, so if you put it in the Bitcoin framework, or if we take an example, like say someone found a gold nugget and then they started collecting it, like few people found these gold nuggets and they started collecting it. Or Bitcoin was first collected by the cryptographers and the early cyberpunks. And then it's gone to like being a store of value, so that people started storing value. They could probably pass it on to their kids or save it for the future. And then at some point it started becoming like a medium of exchange. And I think, and then a unit of account, right? Like we still have to get to the unit of account stage with Bitcoin. But I think that we probably see it in our lifetime, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does, but it does it at different speeds for different people. So you'll get the argument for people, well, but what good is Bitcoin if I can't use it to buy anything? You know.
Yes.
But I mean the answer to that right now is, well, some people are. Some people live their entire life on Bitcoin already. I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm trying to get there, get as close to it as I can. But there are people now living 100% on Bitcoin, and it's tricky. You know, you might only have Bitcoin, and you might have to exchange your Bitcoin for a gift card, and you know, you use the gift card to shop, and the shop doesn't really know you're spending Bitcoin, and all these kind of things. But it is possible. Whereas, some people are just very much at the, it's scarce. Oh, it's scarce, I might start collecting it. So people are at different stages of their journey with Bitcoin as well. So yes, that's the process it takes, but it's like, you'll often hear like, when is hyper Bitcoinization? Well, hyper Bitcoinization is when you choose hyper Bitcoinization for you.
Right.
In my opinion, like, once you make the call to go, I'm 100% in, that's hyper Bitcoinization for you. And the cards will just land where they do. That's a tough decision for people to take, but got respect to anyone that's trying to do it. Your day-to-day life is a fiat job.
Yes.
And then all of your as much of your spare time as you can allocate is you're just writing, podcasts, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Day-to-day is like, my day-to-day is like a fiat job, 9 to 5. I'd say my fiat job is not really challenging in the sense, like I'm able to manage my time well at that, like with my role, and like complete most of my tasks within probably within 4 hours of my day. I shouldn't say this, like hopefully no one's listening to it and they're giving me more work.
I was going to say it can't be too challenging if you're listening to Bitcoin podcasts. When
exactly, right? Like
Brendo doesn't do 4 hours a week.
So I'm like, so I can like listen to my podcast and on most days I'm working from home as well. So like that's, makes it easier. And then outside of that, like I think I mentioned to you guys, like I train martial arts. So then, but like any other time, like I'm like, mostly into Bitcoin. My girlfriend is starting to get a bit more pissed lately. That I'm just behind the screen most of the time, but yes.
Oh, good. So, Meyrick, you did the Michael Saylor's Saylor Academy Bitcoin course. Am I right in saying that?
Yep. Yes.
So what's the structure of that? How long does that take you? How did you find it?
So I thought like, the Saylor course is available for free. So I thought like I'll give it a shot. It just like on the course, it just says it's gonna take you 12 hours to do it. But it took me way longer. Maybe I'm a slow learner and maybe I was like just trying to get like grasp all of it together. But it starts off with the history of money, and then I can't like history of money. It's 5 units. History of money. I can't remember the second unit. Then goes on the history of Bitcoin itself, and I think the most I got out of it was the history of Bitcoin, like learning about these older tokens. And since people identified like the money problem since way back when it was created, right? Like they knew it's faulty, right? So the Austrians pointed out then, and then the cypherpunks came in like in the 50s and 60s, and they were trying to build this money that cannot be controlled by someone. And like there were so many attempts at it, like Hashcash, DigiCash, eGold. I think there was like quite a few, and like so I think Bitcoin is like something that's taken all these Lego blocks per se and like build upon all of this, and then it's finally that's something that actually cannot be stopped by or cannot be controlled or regulated.
So people think it's it's just brand new, or it just happened in 2009, but that's not necessarily the truth. There's a lot of as you say, building blocks to get to where we are. Is it like a narrated course, or is it like a lecture led, or are you just reading yourself, or how does the actual course work?
Oh no, so since it's there's reading material, there's video material, audio material. It's Stefan Lavera is the curator of the course. So he's put together things from like different writers, like someone who's covered the tech side of things, someone who's covered the money side of things, and like all this various. And like I actually ended up, like as I said, like it says it's 12 hours. I probably spend more time on this course, and then just recently, I think 4 days ago, I finally completed it, and you have to give an exam, and I got like 100% in that exam.
Yeah, excellent. Well done.
Nice.
Well done. We didn't know that. We were just setting you up to look great, but well done. And was that to send you away with some like Saylor Academy qualification, or what does it do?
They do give you like a certificate kind of a thing. You could probably like, and it plugs into your LinkedIn or something of that sort. I guess in the future, if there's or even if currently there's like universities that are going to offer anything Bitcoin related, I think this would hold value there. Like I know with their other courses, so if you're doing something in IT or something in economics, you can take their credentials, and like that would give you like you wouldn't have to repeat that subject per se, like in a future course. Yeah.
Got you. But worthwhile doing. It was worthwhile.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yes, worthwhile doing. Especially like for me, like since I've already been down the money rabbit hole, that was all right. But like learning about Bitcoins, like learning about the technology side of things, like even learning about like how Bitcoin is maintained, right? Like how the software or the like is currently maintained. How can someone, a developer, how there are soft forks and hard forks, like the history of the block size was. Uh, and how can someone who's a new developer see, like identifies like, oh, Bitcoin can go in this direction, how can they send a, they call it a pull request, where they which that can be added on as a soft fork or hard fork, like to take it in a different direction, and like all that kind of, yeah.
Gotcha. And so what level of knowledge do you think somebody needs before they take that, or can they just go in cold?
I think they can go in cold. I think they can go in cold. Yes.
I think that's how it's designed, is it not?
Yes. Yeah.
That's
So
the
yeah,
idea.
it is called Bitcoin for everybody. So yeah, I think they can go in cold.
I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been doing your pod now?
This October, I think it would be a year. This October.
Okay, so have you hats banging around? Good one.
Sorry, I'm turning my chair around.
Oh yeah, looking cool.
I'm
straddling the chair. So have you found then, since you're mostly focusing on Bitcoin and Bitcoiners, are you seeing or getting any backlash from sort of early listeners that are saying, hey, why are you not focusing on other stuff as much?
No one has openly said that to me, but I'll say this, like I did lose like a couple hundred followers on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that I was doing, like while I was working at that crypto research company, while I was speaking to these other guys who, like other people that were trying to like make something out of it, right? Like with the NFTs, like this, they were trying to make something out of, like they're probably not well versed with what's exactly happening in the market. They thought like, oh, this is something they can make money off, like they'll draw some art, sell some art for some Ethereum or whatever, right? So when I was working for that crypto company, or even after, I thought like I had some of this knowledge that I could leverage, and I just put out give them like different, like tell them what's happening new in the market, right? Like there's like this new platform where they could go and like get a bunch of new eyeballs that are looking at their artwork or something like that. I completely stopped doing that, and then yeah, obviously, so yeah, that's like, I feel like a bunch of people that probably stop like following me and like probably question. Yeah, I did have a huge argument like with one of the guys like once of why he believes basically for some shitcoin, and like he calls himself like he was like there at the early days of Dogecoin. Okay.
The early days.
Early days
of
Dogecoin. Back when there was a developer.
Yeah.
So how has the transition been into the Bitcoin community, if there is such a thing? Like, how have you found people just as you have approached them? Because we're all pretty toxic, right?
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoiners have been the most friendliest, most welcoming, most generous, kind. Yeah. So I think I started listening to Princey Spot. So that is the Once Bitten podcast by Daniel Prince. And then I just managed, I just messaged him, asking him like, cause he did mention something around like something that's happening in Australia. And I was like, can you connect me with like, who are the, like these folks in Australia? And like, yeah, within a few, I think he replied to me like within a few hours, and like he connected me to Viz. And then I was speaking to Viz, and then Viz connected me to Parman, and then Parman introduced me to the whole Bitcoin community here in Melbourne. And just been great
sweet.
since. Yeah.
And so what does that consist of in Melbourne? Like, how, there's a regular meetup that you're going along to, or like, I don't want to dox anybody for going along, but like, what regularly happens?
Yeah. So the first one I ever went for was apparently happened after this whole lockdown fiasco, and that was like a month or 2 months ago. And and since then, like we like everyone enjoyed, like everyone likes being around fellow Bitcoiners. So like we wanted to have one. I think the next one happened immediately, like the next week, but then the numbers were small. So I think now what the goal is that we're having one every month towards the end of the month, like every month. Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
And
there's an
peop-
sorry. And
No,
there's
please.
I'll just plug in, like there's another group that we have where there's a farmer or someone that has invested in a farm that is selling beef for sats. So it's all price in sats, and like you can buy beef for
But
sats.
they actually bring beef along to the meetup, and you
Oh
can.
no, this is not at the meetup. This is something outside. Like so like whenever there's gonna be a kill, or whenever there's like a cow gonna be butchered, so it's not like a regular thing. Like he'll put it
Yeah.
up, like, and it's first offered to all the Bitcoiners. But I'm guessing like it all gets sold like within the Bitcoin community. Yeah.
So we had one of those as well, and he's skipped country as well. I don't know if he's left yet, but he's off to El Salvador. So
Yeah.
we're on the lookout for a new beef supplier, I think. So we might have to pay a visit to Melbourne.
So you're a meat eater, yeah?
Yes.
Is that and so as you said, you're kind of Christian Catholic background. So am I right in saying Hindu is the predominant religion of India?
Yes.
Are they're vegos, yeah?
Most of them are vegetarian, and I think it's all like Hinduism is like a really broad religion, and like there's varying levels or cultures within that. And I think most of them are vegetarian. If not, at least they would do like once a week or something of that sort, like vegetarian.
Okay. Yeah. Well, actually, Hatch, you wanted to go down the religion route, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, okay, why not? So you said you were a young guy when you realized that religion was a scam. Was that? I don't know if I'm misquote you, but it was something along those lines. I sort of feel similar to you, but there's
I definitely do.
There's a growing, what would I call it? Maybe they would call it spiritual movement within the Bitcoin community. I'm thinking particularly John Vallis and some of the content that John puts out. John's podcast is fantastic. But some of that, I'm like, I don't know if I can jump on board with this. But also I've had this experience again and again where I'm like, no, I don't agree with that, and then 6 months later I'm like, yeah, they were right. So is that making you look, or is it making you question anything, or is it just you've made your decision and you are where you are?
In terms of like where
just
religion
wise, yeah.
Religion wise, I think at like one point I was like a hard atheist, and then before Bitcoin even, I slowly transitioned towards an agnostic, and like believing sort of like there possibly could be, like there's no point in denying this, like there's something operating in the background. There possibly could be something operating in the background, like there could be a higher power on that sort. And then speaking of John Vallis's podcast, he's been putting out some interesting stuff, and something that I picked up from there was so with Christ itself, I think like Christ, like he died, and then there was, after approximately 200 years, there were stories written about him of his sacrifice and how good of a person he was and all this, and it's all myth, right? Like no one actually was there to experience all of that. So 200 years, like the stories that were written about him 200 years later was all myth. Like there was all assumptions based on like what people have passed down. And now bringing that to Bitcoin, like I think the same thing is going to happen. The same thing would happen to Satoshi, because he's done like he's sacrificed a lot, right? Like he could have claimed his token if he's alive, if he's not, whatever it is. He could have claimed the fame, he could have claimed the money on whatever it was. And like 200 years in the future, like people will look back upon like Bitcoin and like recognize Satoshi's sacrifice in all of this, and then start creating its own myth stories about Satoshi and like all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a really common, like, is what we're getting involved in a religion, or is it just something that is
It's a movement. It's a movement.
It's a movement but it's so transformative that
Mm.
as you say, Meyrick, it's just people are going to create myth and legend around about the story, and as you say, as time passes and people forget the actual genuine truth, that
But-
could grow into something.
But the difference is that there was no written record back then. So if you go to like look at certain Aboriginal tribes, right, we talk about or talk to their kids about don't follow a willy wagtail into the bush because they lead you away and you'll never come back. And that's that kind of campfire kind of fable of protecting the kids, keeping them with the tribe, keeping them by the fire, and not getting taken by predators or something like that. And that personally, that's how I see not any religion, but religion in general, is that it all started, because especially the long-standing religions, they all started with fables and stories for how to behave well, be good to thy neighbor, all of those kinds of things to teach lessons to children and make them good people. Satoshi going forward as myth and this and that, I don't think it really works because everything's documented now. Does that make sense?
It sort of does, yeah. But I still think like, I mean, like people who choose to like sort of like make their own stories up, right? Like they'll probably document these stories of what they believe Satoshi is and what values he had or she had. But yeah, so they'll probably write about it and they'll probably speak about it like we are doing now, and then this would probably carry out and someone else would pick up from you and like create even further myth from you, right? Like we're just claiming some aspects of it. And another thing that is a common thing among Bitcoiners is like, yeah, we all like, I think speaking for everyone, it's like most of the Bitcoin community is like built on like good values in most cases, right? It's built on like trust and good values, and like people like it's like if you compare the crypto bros and like Bitcoiners, it's like what it's like easy money, Lambos, hot chicks, and something on those lines, right? And then there's Bitcoiners like who's like more focused on like raising a family, right? And like having these old cultural like family bound values. So yeah, I think
Pat, stop moving.
Okay, I know I've moved it back because it was squeaking. I've turned it around again.
Fuck's sake.
Sorry, I'm fidgeting. What can I tell you? I hope the audio is okay. So here's something that I've been thinking about a little bit recently. Are Bitcoiners like better people? Right? Right? No, because bear with me, because we all think we are, right?
Let's go.
But I don't think that's true. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I think because the incentives for me to be selfish helps you. For you to be selfish helps me within Bitcoin. We're not fighting each other for this. Everything you're contributing is helpful to me. Everything I'm contributing is helpful to you. So I don't believe that we've become all of a sudden found, I don't know, whatever it is, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million people who are just better than everybody else and they want to do things better than everybody else. And we're all better than the crypto bros. I just don't believe it. I just think that we've found a system that has incentives aligned so that we, by doing the right thing, what a lot of people consider to be the right, a good thing, it's actually beneficial for other people and not just yourself. Is that?
Yeah, it makes sense.
What do you think of that?
But, I think that's how most religions are formed, I guess.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't know where this is going to go. This is good. It's
Yeah.
So
it's
sorry,
confusing for me.
Can I ask you? Because I don't know if I've actually asked you directly. Like, what is your kind of belief system? Are you
Where am I
atheist, agnostic? Do you believe in something other than Satoshi?
So my background, my grandfather was a minister. I was never religious. I remember going. My grandfather used to take me to two places. He used to take me to football, soccer, and he used to take me. You know, every now and again we'd go to the church to watch my grandpa. And at church, I was always asking, what time was the pie? You know, because I was still because I was still expecting I was at the football. No, I never liked the church. I didn't. I would just question the church, and it wasn't for me. But I do respect people that have that sort of deep belief. I understand it's important to people, and that's fine. I have no problem with that at all. But I'm not a religious guy. Never been a religious guy. But this is the first time I've ever thought, is there something more here, or is it just a system that is just so good that we're looking for greater meaning in it than there actually is? It's just all it is aligned incentives.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah. All right.
I'll leave one up for listeners. Okay, so also, Meyrick, can you talk to us a little bit about where you think Bitcoin? So, sorry, let me rewind a little bit. There's two things that I think are important to us on this podcast, Brendo, and maybe three if we included wine. So there's so much quality content comes out of the States,
Right.
which is wonderful. Like, no criticism of that whatsoever, but sometimes it's very, it's tunnel visioned. It's very very American oriented. So when we sort of started, we were like, okay, well, what should we do? And my thing was, I want it to be bigger. This is for everyone. A little bit, we've kind of, just because of the people we've met, I guess, is we've kind of gone down the Australian route, and we've had quite a lot of Aussies on, and the time difference and things like that makes that an easier thing to do. But as a guy from India, who obviously you're living in Australia and I've been here a while, but what's your opinion on where Bitcoin is in India? Is it similar to here? Is it what are the conversations you have with friends and family back home?
With friends and family, I mean, I speak like one of my I have heaps of cousins. One of my cousin is into. He just takes my word for it, I would say. So when I asked, when I would tell him, you need to buy this shitcoin or that shitcoin, he'll probably do it. And obviously he has his friends, and they're doing pretty well for themselves, as in individuals, in terms of their fiat mining jobs. So
sorry, this is family, friends and family in India, yeah?
No, this is just one particular cousin. No, actually, he's not in India. He's in the States.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the States. He works. Yeah, if I can, I think he wouldn't mind. He works for Amazon. He's been working there for a long time. Yeah, he's the only one that would probably. But that is more of looking at somewhere to invest, somewhere to save money. But no one sort of gets. In terms of friends and family, I think no one sort of gets Bitcoin, or no one sort of. But outside of that group, I had recently spoken to Bitcoiners in India, and it's slowly picking up. But there's lots of shit coining going on. And another reason, I was speaking to Bitcoiners in Africa and in Pakistan, and I can't remember where else, but another country. So over there, what I see is India has done pretty well with that. With the previous demonetization that I mentioned, that was a big push for people to go digital. So and they had the tools to give the people to go to have digital transactions. So people wouldn't really get that, why would they need Bitcoin? But I think when play each other, Bitcoin would be like easier for them to pick up. So in terms of India, I don't think, and especially in terms with the government saying it's they're going to tax you 30% on any transaction, and like there's lots of FUD around it.
Okay, so there's no better regulatory certainty in India than there is here, for example.
I think it's worst off in India.
Worse, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. But also I'm right in saying there is going to be a Bitcoin, I think it's just called Bitcoin for India
Yes.
event in Goa.
In Goa, right?
November, I think, or the
Yes.
beginning of November. Yeah. So thank you very much. You've put us in touch with somebody there, and we're going to have a chat. But that is very much is going to be a Bitcoin and
Yes.
Bitcoin only event.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, that's
Yep.
great.
Yep. Yeah, and then as another cool thing that, but yeah, I think if you guys are aware, there's a Indian guy that started Summer of Bitcoin. It's like to help developers from India, from anywhere in the world, actually, get internships with Bitcoin only companies as developers. So that's like a good initiative. And the guys from Hexa Wallet are building like a hub where these developers or people that are building on Bitcoin only can like have somewhere to go and work from, like a shared workspace. And they have a pretty cool name for it as well. It's called Satoshi's Hut.
Satoshi's Hut. So another in what did you say? Summer of Bitcoin? Did you say as well?
Summer of Bitcoin, yes. Yeah.
Summer of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think the
Satoshi's
guy
Hut.
who
Okay, I'll have a
started it was Adi Shankar, and Stefan Lavera had him on the podcast as well.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. No, I just think Brendo and I need to put more effort into trying to just spread it a little bit further, just to try and get that perspective from different places.
Yeah, I'll connect you with the guy who's behind Bitcoin for Pakistan as well. Like, he's really interesting guy as well. Because I don't think whether you guys are aware of how is the Islamic culture views money. Have you guys come across any of that?
No. Please explain.
Okay. But please, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll tell you how I came across it. Like, as I mentioned, I was working in the banking sector, and so the bank pays out interest every 6 months, which is an computer generated things. It does a daily average calculation of whatever money is in your account on a daily basis, and it pays out the interest half yearly, right? And there were these few Islamic trust accounts. Basically, I think it was a mosque or something on those lines, where I had to manually go and reverse the interest. So they got free money, but they don't want it. Like, they had to reverse it back into their account. So I really I questioned the management and all, and there's like some religious thing. That's all I got from there. And then so then I think again, like coming back to Bitcoin, I like looked into this more, and like and I think someone mentioned like the Islamic case for Bitcoin. And what it is as per Islam, as per the Quran, I think, basically it comes back to the same thing. Is like they don't want the rich getting rich and the poor getting poorer. So if I'm loaning out money to you, I should do it as a favor, as like a gift, and you should pay me back the money that I lent out to you, right? Like if I give you 100, you give me 100 back whenever you're able to. Yeah, not some interest on top of that.
Yes.
So so that's what so that's why like there's a strong push for Bitcoin in like the Islamic community.
That's interesting.
I actually think it can, religions and politics, I think it can be a real, you can find real positives in Bitcoin from all sides. So it's very hard to find things that people on the far left or far right can agree on at all. You know, we're all just becoming, or many people are becoming very sort of radicalized on all sides, I guess. It's actually going to, so it's like another day, it's almost becoming the most radical thing to be somewhat centrist. But but I just think that's maybe what a Bitcoiner is. So maybe that's why we're going to be called radicals, because we're all just centrists. I guess, where are we for time? I guess the big question is, are you going to be coming along to either Marundi, or are you going to do a Beechworth, or what's the plans?
Yeah, I'll surely be doing Beechworth. Marundi is like, I'm leaning towards it. Like now lately, like there's so many people that let me come there. Like I'm leaning towards it. Let's see how like what's happening with work. I'm sure you guys like have met Izzy, and like I was mentioning, like he was telling me he's going to chuck
Yeah.
me in somebody's car and like take me
Yeah.
along. So
That's
he's,
awesome.
he's a good guy.
yeah,
He is a
I think
good guy.
he was over
Hey,
at-
do you
so
want to get your
he was
girlfriend on?
maybe
and
over
we
in
can-
Austin, was he?
We can convince the girlfriend to let you come to Murray if you like.
oh she wants to come as well. Like so she wants to come
Oh, bring
along as
her.
well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. She wants to come
Definitely,
as well.
there's
And
definitely-
yeah, she's not here at the moment. She's at work. Yeah.
I wasn't
Oh.
serious, but
Yeah.
No, definitely. The more the merrier. But there's
Yeah.
a few make the trek from Melbourne as well. So yeah, it'd be cool if you're able to
Yep.
come along. I guess my last thing is what do you want next from the podcast? Like, where have you got plans? Where are you going to take it, or are you just going to keep talking to people and see where it takes you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have plans per se. Like I was thinking, like I should go video. I'm not sure, like and like because I did put out a few like the audio only on YouTube, just the audio, but like I put it out on YouTube, and I feel like I got like way more listeners on those YouTube videos, which is not even a video, like it's just audio.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like wondering whether I should take it video. My girlfriend has been telling me like, oh, you should do video and do video and like, but just I think it'll take some more of my time just to like edit the videos and like have like another thing going. It's easy with like just an RSS feed, but let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure. And in terms of the podcast, I want to still have like speak to people outside of Bitcoin so that I'm like I'm not in this echo chamber, and like not only will that introduce like other people from outside of Bitcoin to probably like start looking into the podcast, and like so if they come through, say another girl that I had on, she's a psychologist, so maybe they come to listen to her podcast, and then there's like, okay, maybe you'll check out like one of these other ones, and then they probably get into Bitcoin. So yeah, so I still want to do that, but lately like I have like a whole list of people that want to come on the podcast, and they're all Bitcoiners, and like there's like, and the other ones that I've scheduled in are all Bitcoiners. So
Yeah.
And the people that I want to speak to honestly are just Bitcoiners, but I think I need to push myself to like speak to people that are not Bitcoiners and like probably do something on those lines.
So how did we rate on our episode? How did we go? What were our numbers
pretty
like?
good.
Were they all right?
Yeah,
Were
they're
they
good.
up there?
They're pretty good. Yes,
Good.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I'll
think
tell you,
mine-
if you were getting numbers out of YouTube, you've done something that we didn't do, because we don't get anything out of YouTube at all. But we just put the audio up on YouTube. But
you'll do put the audio up on YouTube.
Yeah, but yeah, it's more as an afterthought than anything else. I don't try and do particularly anything with it.
Yeah.
But
No, sorry.
as I say, we don't know the video or whatever. So
Yep. The thing is, the few that I put up on YouTube were like, it was the one that I've really noticed that had got quite a bit of views was one of my friends who's a singer, and I think he himself, like probably people look him up on YouTube, and they must have come across his So
cool.
I think there's just I mean there's just so much need for people to be just talking of other folks about, and it just like I genuinely believe there's going to be Bitcoin for nurses, Satoshis for a postman. I don't know. Like it's going to get more. It used to be that you could kind of follow everything that anybody in Bitcoin wanted to say, and you'd be waiting around for somebody to post something. I remember that. It was annoying, but now it's like you just can't keep up because there's so much. So we just need people talking to everybody in all different walks of life. So
yes, yeah. I think people were asking me whether they should start a Bitcoin podcast at the meetup, and like I told, like I got two people. I think two more people from Melbourne are going to be starting a Bitcoin podcast.
Go for it. Tell them to go for it.
Yeah, like go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. So I had like one question for you guys. Like, where do you see like privacy like currently? Like, how private do we have to be, and KYC Bitcoins and stuff? Given any?
Yeah. Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know. As private as possible, but then the more private you are, the more difficult it is for your normies to actually come in. They've got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Do you mean just generally, or us personally, or me personally? So speak for Brendo.
So Yeah, generally, I guess. Yeah.
Generally. So I think there needs to be people that put themselves out there. Like there needs to be people passing our message. There need to be people putting out, podcast videos. People need to
No,
teachers, all the stuff. But
sorry. Let me rephrase that. Yeah, sorry.
Go on.
What I was trying to get at is in privacy in the terms of like how we acquire and store Bitcoin. So like where KYC comes into and yeah, I think like is there a way currently like to get Bitcoin KYC free? I mean, there's like RoboStats and stuff like that, but like how important it is to get KYC free Bitcoin?
I think if you're technically able and think it's important, then yes, you should. And like that might just be like a hodl, or it might mean your home mining, or it might mean I don't know this. So, but I mean, I think we're kidding ourselves if we think that there's not going to be state level attacks of some description, and then you're just playing roulette as to whether Russian roulette as to whether it's your country that goes for you first, or that kind of thing. So I think there's going to be countries I think will compete as well. So there's going to be jurisdictional sort of arbitrage there too, I guess. So like you might be, if let's say for example, China comes out with a ridiculous statement, and then you might find that the States might go the opposite way just because it's the opposite way.
Right.
But I mean, I guess the biggest thing we can do, I think, is bring more and more people in, because it's like you've seen the one man dancing meme, one guy. It's very difficult when you're that one guy, but once you got big numbers, it becomes harder and harder, and the more people that own Bitcoin, the more decentralized the whole thing is, the more difficult it would be to crack down on any one individual. But I mean, I think they're going to try. So I think if anybody thinks it's important and they are able, I think they should try
to get like KYC free Bitcoin to sort of
Yeah, I mean, just there may be a premium on it for you. Like
what does that actually mean though? Like when they say it could be a premium on KYC free Bitcoin. So does that mean two different prices? You know what I mean? Like, is it like an underground price as opposed to the standard market price? And how does that coexist? Because that's something I don't get.
Yes, but I mean, if you were going to say, let's say you're going to home mine, right? And you put solar panels on your roof, and you bought an S9 or an S19 or whatever you want to do. So you're putting up a lot of capital up front in order for the KYC free Bitcoin, right? So that's already paying a different price of Bitcoin. It's just because you're doing it at a different time. Now, should there be? Do we want to have two Bitcoins? No, definitely not. Do we want to have like these Bitcoins that can be spent here and those ones you can only spend? No, you don't want that at all. But I think it's put it this way. I think if somebody can, if it's important to you, try.
Okay. Like, so Brendo, I think like there's your regular exchanges where you can buy Bitcoin. Like, so you have your Bitcoin only exchanges and they have their prices. And then there's peer-to-peer websites, right? Like where you can approach another peer and then you guys can decide what's the right price. Like you guys can agree upon a price. So you could possibly arbitrage over there, and like you can buy Bitcoin off an exchange, and you could possibly find a peer to sell it to KYC free at a premium. So you could probably have an arbitrage there to make money, or you could probably have an arbitrage there to buy Bitcoin at a premium but then it's going to be KYC free.
Yeah, but then you've already got governments that are enforcing regulations on exchanges to KYC. Yeah. Yep. So then they're not going to readily allow that, you know what I mean? So it's not going to roll out, commercially with businesses that are, like your Square and their point of sale machines aren't going to be having a KYC option. And then at what point does Gresham's law kind of kick in where people are just going to keep that? Because if I had KYC coin and I had KYC free coin, obviously I'm keeping the KYC free coin up my sleeve and spending the KYC coin,
Right.
or maybe not because it's not traceable. I don't know. That's a good
So,
question.
but you
Yeah.
yourself are already putting a premium on your KYC, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You just said, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so it's not necessarily a difference in price. It's just one's
Yeah.
more important to you than another.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. True.
But
Yeah.
no, it's a great question, and it's actually I was listening down on the car to who was I listening to Lynn Alden and John Vallis.
Right.
There's a huge discussion. They have there's a big discussion on privacy in there that's very well worth listening to. So it's pointing anybody towards that.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Something that I heard is like, say tomorrow, like a small country like Lebanon per se, right? Like they say like their holdings of their citizens amount to $100,000, just for example purpose, right? But they see like but their holdings, say when Bitcoin pumps or the crypto pumps and all of this pumps, the crypto holdings on exchanges is 150,000. So are they going to like come after your individuals like cash holdings, or are they going to come after like the individual? Like they'll probably go to the exchanges and say there's more value there and probably try to seize all of that instead.
Yeah, I think it's going to be different in different jurisdictions,
Yes.
but some will seize, some will tax, some will bail in, some will, there could be all sorts of different things people might try and do. So not your keys, not your coins, right?
Yep. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to take any more of your guys' time.
No,
Thanks,
good. No, not at all, mate. Appreciate the question, mate.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Meyrick.
Thanks, buddy.
And last question for Hats, yeah?
Oh, go on.
Sorry. Are you not going for are you sure you're not going for the Michael Jackson's look?
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's not pretty, is it? It's not pretty. I'm just waiting for Hollywood to call, but the phone has been quiet. So
I'll tell you what, he's wide enough.
True. Pasty Scottish guy.
Yeah. Meyrick, do you want to tell us, how people can find you, mate?
Oh yeah, it's just Meyrick Dabs on Twitter. So that's MEYRICKDABS on Twitter. Yeah, mostly on Twitter. I'm not using any other social media.
And the podcast itself?
Meyrick's Dabbling Path was a great name.
And
I love
Meyrick's
it.
Dabbling Path. Yes, Meyrick's Dabbling Path is the podcast if you want to tune into that as well.
After you listen to us.
Competition is good.
Competition is good.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your time.
Cheers.